this video, I'm going to show you why being what is called the purple cow can help you to attract what you want easier than ever. And I'm going to show you why being different is the secret. Welcome back to another video. My name's Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I want to be sharing with you the truth on why you being yourself deeper than ever without caring what other people think, and you going forward knowing that as you're being yourself, you're on the right path, how that influences everything around you, and how that will help you to attract what you want easier than ever. Now this is actually an idea. The purple cow is an idea from a book by a guy named Seth Godin, and it has to do with understanding this analogy. If you were driving along the street and on the sides in the valley that you see, maybe you were in a road or on a dirt road or you were going across country, you see an open field, and in that open field you see different cows. You see a whole bunch of black and white cows just like you'd normally see. Now even if you saw cows all different shapes, all different sizes, a family of them, then you wouldn't think much of it. You would just look at them, you would acknowledge it, and you would keep on going with your day. However, if you saw a purple cow, that would shock you or be a pattern interrupt. You'd be like, whoa, was that a purple cow? And then most likely, if you thought it was a genuine purple cow, you'd go around telling everyone about this purple cow that you saw. But nobody really recognizes all the other ones that look the same. You may notice them, but it's kind of in the peripheral. You're not really paying attention to it. You're just driving to where you're going to go. But anytime you see a purple cow, that startles you and causes you to pay attention. Now, this is an analogy for understanding why being different is actually the key to success, to being put out there more so that people notice you if your intention is to have a successful business. Because if your intention is to do and to be the best at what you do, that will get you so far. But if you can be different than everyone else, that is much easier to do than to be the best at what you do. But you could also do both. You could be the best at what you do and be different, because people remember different. Now let me share with you how I've applied this in my own life and why it's allowed me to create from my own paradigm. Now in general, with the law of attraction, we are creating based on the rule sets that we have in our mind. We are creating from a level of what we think is possible for us. And when we start to create from our own rules, this is where so much begins to change. Because when we're in social conditioning, we're doing what everyone else expects us to do, even if we're trying to be the best at what we do, we're acting within a certain range of rules. We're acting within a certain self-image for the way that we see ourselves. But when we start to become the purple cow, we start to become different than everyone else, or we just are more ourselves, and by doing that, we're different than other people. We start to create from a totally different paradigm that is not limited by the belief systems of society, of the social conditioning of society. So this is about being more aware of how we can take our power back and be ourselves. Now this is a funny thing with me and my YouTube channel. For the longest time, I was afraid of getting outside of my little bubble. By little bubble, I mean the way I saw myself. I started making YouTube videos, and of course my catchphrase is expand their consciousness. That's my catchphrase. That's what my intention of my channel is to help people expand their awareness. However, I kind of started to fit myself into a metaphorical type box, because I was making videos on the law of attraction. Back maybe a year or two ago, I only had like 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers. And I started to make videos on the law of attraction because I was passionate about speaking about it. And then people kept asking, well, what about this with the law of attraction? What about this? We love your videos on the law of attraction. Please make more. So, of course, I listened. I was like, okay, if this is adding value, then I'll do more videos on the law of attraction. And I started to kind of fit into this niche of the law of attraction. And I started to become known as the law of attraction guy on YouTube. And I would get a lot of people. I went to a talk that I gave in LA, and it was just very apparent that people considered me an expert with the law of attraction because I made so many videos on it. However, I was intending and trying to be in that niche, or I was putting myself in a box, and I felt limited. I felt like, I want to be more than just that. I don't want to put myself into this box of making law of attraction videos. I want to make all different types of videos. And that's when I started to step outside of my little bubble, my little box of the way I saw myself. I said, you know what? I'm just going to be myself. I remember there was one video that I did, and I did it in Sedona. And it was a video that I made on 5 things to give up to raise your vibration, 5 things you must give up. And I was a little bit nervous about putting that video out, because that video was a little bit outside of my comfort zone of what I've talked about before. I thought, what will people think? Will they like it? I was talking about a book called Power versus Force, different levels of consciousness. I was like, is this too out there? And I put that video out there, and it started to go viral. Within like 2 or 3 weeks, it was getting hundreds of thousands of views. And it was something, anytime that happens to me, that's a sign. Anytime like I'm afraid to put out a video, but I move forward instead and I put it out there, it's a sign if it starts to do really well, because I'm like, okay, I need to just go forth in my message and not worry about what other people will think. But then what did that video also do? It set me apart from a lot of the other people that make law of attraction videos, because it's more of it might be my unique perspective, but it's different. It stands out a little bit more. Now, another video that I did that actually is my top viewed video on my channel, it now has almost 1.6 million. The other day I was on my computer and I was doing something and I saw that it had 1.6 million views. I was like, whoa, I didn't realize it had that many. And that video is one of the most esoteric videos I've made. It was on understanding who we are at a greater sense and 3 things we forgot before we were born, or 3 things we agreed to before we were born. And it's a very esoteric video, but it was something I was passionate about talking about. And because of that, I may have been scared. I moved forward, made that video, and now it's one of my top viewed videos. It's brought so many people to the channel, and it continues to this day. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is not to brag or say, oh, look at all these views. I'm saying this because the more you step outside of the little bubble you might put yourself in, the more you're going to get rewarded. Especially when it's something you're passionate about and it's just a part of who you are. Like for me to make those videos that are more esoteric, it was very natural because they're just things I already like talking about. So I think people felt that, even if they're like, this is kind of different than what I've normally used to hearing, even if they've never heard me before, they're at least respecting that it's something that they can tell I'm passionate about, and maybe they feel that off of the video that I do. So the point behind this is being different is what allows you to create your own rules and puts you different than everyone else, so it makes you stand out, so it actually ends up helping you. So with the law of attraction, think of it like there's a lot of people that want to have successful businesses. Well, in order to have a successful business, many times you have to be a known business, or you have to somehow get out there, you have to somehow market yourself. So there's many different ways to go about this, but be more yourself. I'm not saying that you have to try to be someone else because you don't think that you're cool enough already. You are already cool enough. You are already unique. You are already a purple cow if you allow yourself to be. If you just, in a way, you don't care what other people think because you know this is who you are. The more I have become what is called this purple cow, the more I have embraced who I am, the more that ends up helping me because it makes me stand out from all the other people. And that's what I want. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes being a purple cow, it's polarizing. Some people might see it. There's people that look at some of my videos and they go, whoa, like they think it's just too different for them, or they think it's just too much energy. I get told that sometimes. I just have too much energy. Now, I'm not going to tone myself down for the percentage of people that don't like how much energy I have. But being and maybe having that much energy or being perceived as that, maybe that's not a bad thing. Even if it's polarizing, normally people still talk about it. Normally it still does marketing for you if you think about it that way. And the reason I talk about this with the law of attraction is because being successful requires us to put ourselves out there, to get outside of our comfort zone, to not care what other people think. Whatever you focus on, you feel. If you focus on the percentage of people that don't like what you do, then you will feel that, and that will be something that you start to emanate off of, and then maybe even more people feel that off of you. So it's kind of like a recycled type thing. Now, the other part of this I want to talk about is the social conditioning part of it. It's what are called, so I'm gonna bridge this with understanding a process that I've shared many times before called reality transurfing. Reality transurfing is about understanding that there's an infinite number of parallel realities that exist, that we don't have to create our own reality because it already exists. There's an infinite number of parallel realities that do exist. We simply have to choose it by embodying the frequency of what we want right now in the present moment. Reality Transurfing is a book that was written by a Russian quantum physicist named Vadim Zeland. It's a book that will show you how to transurf through the alternative space, which means to shift to the parallel realities, knowing it already exists. And part of the teaching of that reality transurfing of the book is understanding something called pendulums. A pendulum is a metaphor, but it's an idea that the thoughts we have are not just these invisible thoughts. They might be invisible, which means our eyes don't see it, but it doesn't mean they don't exist. Now, in the same way that we think thoughts, think about it, we're thinking thoughts right now. We have an electromagnetic energy around our body. The thoughts we're thinking are going around us. They're not just inside of our mind, inside of our head. They're going around us, and they're in our energy field. When we go out into the world, we're projecting out this energy, and people are linking up, and opportunities are linking up to this vibration. Now, in the same way that we are choosing our own reality, I was going to say creating, but just because that's how everyone understands it, but choosing our own reality, collectively, we also choose our reality together, which means based on the momentum we all have going, these thoughts link up and create a momentum. Now, there are pendulums. These pendulums are thought structures around anything we could possibly think of. There's pendulums around being American. There's pendulums around any sports team you like. There's a pendulum around any political office and any political party. There's a pendulum around the president. There's a pendulum around absolutely everything. Now, the thing is whether you agree with it or disagree with it, if you have an opinion, an emotional charge one way or the other, you feed it. This is why somebody like the president might win, because even though there was a lot of people that very strongly disagreed with him, it still fed that pendulum. And whether you like it or don't like it, whatever side you're on, you're feeding it. Whoever gets more attention always wins the presidency, whether it's good or bad. That's how it works, because the attention feeds this pendulum, this thought structure. Now, in the same way, there are pendulums, if you buy into, will control your life. Many times we think, I'm having my own thoughts, when really, we're having the thoughts of these pendulums. For example, you may be on the freeway, on a major freeway, turning, somebody cuts you off. Now, you could say, oh, I'm mad, that person cut me off. You may feel emotionally charged. It may not just be your own thoughts that say, I am mad. It may be you linking up to the thought form of many other people that have been on that street, that have been mad, that you are linking up to that emotion, that same thought. And because of that, you feel the negative emotion even more so. That is the pendulum. And it's not just you, that is the pendulum that is also influencing your energy field. Now, there are pendulums around many different things. For example, you got to go to school, get a 4-year degree, work somewhere for 30 years, then retire to have a good life. That's a pendulum. Many people buy into that pendulum and end up working jobs they hate because they bought into it. You can't only do certain things, or any type of belief system in general that many people have is a pendulum. Now, when you become the purple cow, you become different. You start to create your own pendulum. You start to detach from pendulums around you. You start to become yourself. You become more of an empty vessel where these pendulums don't have power over you. You may have heard of successful people before that were told no 1,000 times, but they still became successful. They didn't adhere to the pendulum that they couldn't do it. They didn't adhere to the pendulum that everyone else put them in that little box. Somebody like Steve Jobs has mentioned that kind of quote before, where Steve Jobs, who else? The Kentucky Fried Chicken guy, for example, was told no 1,000 times before he actually had his idea, and he was like 70 years old or whatever, before he actually was able to move forward and be successful. He didn't adhere to other people's pendulum. So this is about understanding, creating our own rule set, because when we create our own rule set, we create our own gravity. That's how I am operating. If people tell me something that they don't think is possible, why do you say that? Is that really something you don't believe is possible, or is that something your friends or family in the past has told you? Is this something, maybe a skewed sample, one belief or one thing in the past showed you that, and that's why you believe it? You see, we need to become aware of the beliefs we have and become aware of these pendulums, become aware of the social conditioning that we have. And understand that as we let go of that social conditioning, we start to take our power back. Being different is a good thing, and being different is something that should be embraced because it makes you different and it puts you in front of so many more people. That is why I am moving forward on my channel with sharing sometimes the more esoteric stuff. I've talked before on my channel about how it's highly probable, sciences have shown, about reality being a simulation. And I talk about how that correlates with spirituality, how that doesn't have to be some technological, something where we think we live in a computer. We can think about it in a more empowering way and understanding that we are so much more than this ego avatar structure. But see, that's a different idea. So some people, that's polarizing. Some people will watch that and go, whoa, that's too different for me. I believe in, this is my belief system. That doesn't fall within my belief system. But guess what? Whether you agree with it or not, it still stands out more so than me just talking about, hey, with the law of attraction, you gotta let go, you gotta desire it, you gotta do this with the law of attraction, all these, you gotta do it all with the law of attraction. But when I talk about these esoteric ideas, they pop out a little bit more. And it's something I'm genuinely excited to talk about. I love talking about higher dimensional aspects of consciousness, understanding who we are. I love talking about that stuff. It's not hard for me. It doesn't feel fake at all. And I think even when people listen to it, even if they don't agree with it, they're like, oh, I respect that that's what he likes to talk about. I respect that he's passionate about it. And that's the only thing that's really important is, are you doing what you are passionate about? Are you being yourself? Because by being yourself, you set yourself apart from everyone else, especially when you don't care what other people think. So this is what I encourage you to do, is to be the purple cow. Don't be afraid of what people think. You may be a little bit more polarizing. That's okay. That's a part of the process. Not everyone's going to get you. There's people that don't get me. I was watching a video on YouTube. There's this new software inside of YouTube now where I can see when other people post my videos. And there's sometimes people will be commenting on my videos. They're like, it's like hour and a half podcast. And these three dudes are talking about a couple of my videos. I found it was interesting. They said pretty nice things, but every now and then, so one of the guys would talk about how I'm just too much for him. And normally I could look at them and be like, oh, I'm too much for him? Like I got to appease that one person out of hundreds and hundreds of thousands that watch my videos? Do you see what I mean? Don't focus on the one or two or the small percentage that aren't going to get it. Focus on the people that do get it. Focus on the impact you can have on other people. Focus on how you being yourself, even if people don't agree with it, will encourage them to be themselves. So you see, this isn't about trying to be something you're not. It's about being who you really are. It's about not caring because you understand that if you aren't yourself, you're doing people a disservice because you're cheating them out from knowing who you really are and how special you really are. Don't cheat people out. Be yourself, because people deserve to get to know the real you. By being the purple cow, you start to set your own rule sets. You start to create from your own paradigm. You aren't a victim of social conditioning, and by doing that, you create what you want in your life. So with that, another part of this, if you want to learn how to become the best vibrational aspect of you that lives this purple cow lifestyle, a lot of that has to do the purple cow lifestyle. That's a funny little label. But what you can do is you can raise your vibration by doing that. That will help you to do this fearlessly. And if you want, I have a free guided meditation top of the description box below. It'll help you to raise your vibrational set point. I think if you listen to it for 21 days, it'll change your life in a very powerful way. I'll also be doing more live Q&As on Instagram. So if you haven't followed me yet on Instagram, I post daily content there as well. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you like it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little notification here next to the subscribe button so that you can see the daily vids that I have. I have a lot more videos coming, a lot more meditation, so make sure you subscribe for that. And other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.